Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the P.E.W podcast. And I am your host, the Vegan Prescott, and I am so pleased to be joined by none other than the voice of P.E.W, a British commentary legend that is Dave Bradshaw.
Hello, Vegan Prescott. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's good to hear.
Where's Porcus? I
He's
was hoping to see Porcus.
way past Porky's bedtime. He's
I guess yeah, it's like
yeah.
9 p.m. I guess when we're recording, right?
That's
So
right.
he's
Yeah, yeah. He's
yeah,
he's completely pooped for the day. So,
yeah. Well,
but
what's he been up to?
he's he's been doing his thing, doing his Porcus activities,
You
and
don't know what he's been up to, do you? You got no idea.
he's,
You got
he's
no idea how he spent
he's
his day.
when they get old, you lose control, don't you? That's the problem.
And he's in that difficult teenage phase now, isn't he?
That's
Goes out, comes in, goes
that.
straight out to his pigsty.
Yeah,
Won't talk to you. I
yeah.
get it.
When's
Get it.
dinner, etc. That's all I get.
Yeah.
But
I
what
hear
better
you.
way? What better way to spend my evening than talking to you, Dave? Um, Very much the voice of P.E.W. from the very beginning. You've been with P.E.W. for such a long time now. I want to hear your opinion on the beginnings of P.E.W. and how you would compare to how P.E.W. is now in 2025.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's evolved certainly. I think PEW started as just a sort of experiment, right, with the guys who started it in seeing if you could run an independent wrestling promotion in Stratford upon Avon. Interesting market where no one else was really running. So I think it was a fun thing to try. And then what we didn't count on, I guess, is the sense of community that it would develop. So the PEW fans have just been so incredible, and there's this really like hardcore like fan base now who just come to every show. I know there's a Facebook group that's following on Twitter and Instagram. Everyone's giving their opinions on things, not just on the day of shows, but throughout the month about what they think of everyone, and they have strong opinions, which I fully endorse because it's good to have your favorites and know who you're cheering and know who you're booing. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's become, like I say, a community, and it's really fun to show up. It's always nice to see. Obviously, unfortunately, I don't get to do every show. Sometimes I've got bookings elsewhere or whatever. But whenever I'm here, it's like seeing old friends. Not just the wrestlers in the locker room, but the fans. It's just great. It's just a really fun way to spend a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever. So I'm always pleased to be there.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things about PW that makes it so special is our fan base. Um, what would you say makes PW different from other promotions that you've worked for? What makes PW
I,
stand out?
the thing I like about apart from that atmosphere I just talked about, I think the other thing I like about it is that it gives me a chance to see some talent who aren't necessarily getting opportunities elsewhere. So I think what the Prestige, and I've got plenty of criticism of the Prestige, which I'm sure we can get into, but like one of the things I think he does quite well is that he's willing to give up and coming talent a try. And so I found it to be quite a good place to see new talent before they're going to go and break out and be in 100 other places. You might see them first of all at PEW in front of just 100 or so people. It's a really intimate atmosphere. Always fun to see these guys develop. And there's some people who were there at or around the start in 3 or 4 years ago and are now getting to be everywhere. They're starting to be on display in all sorts of promotions. So I think credit to P.E.W. because I think giving young talent that platform is is crucial because unless they get the reps in, unless they get the chance to perform in front of a crowd, they're never going to develop. And it needs a promoter who's willing to take a chance on those guys. And P.E.W. is a place that does take chances.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of young wrestlers who have developed, is there any that spring to mind that you've particularly have enjoyed seeing them develop into the personas and characters that they are today.
But there's this vegan guy who's uh, no, but seriously, like your example is a good case in point, right? In the like the evolution of your relationship with the P.E.W. fans is a classic tale of like when you came in. I think it's fair to say they found you kind of obnoxious. I think I did too.
Yeah,
And yeah, and I think over time they've come to love you, and to see you go from a villain who's irritating everyone within a 10-mile radius to being someone who now gets one of the loudest cheers of anyone in the company is great. I think Oscar Prospero is another example of that,
or
right? So
100%, yes.
the way he came in, and obviously it's very fitting being in Stratford upon Avon, this kind of Shakespearean character that he has, uh, incredibly annoying, but so annoying you can't help but love him after a little while. It was so organic the way it wasn't like P.E.W. management sat in a room and went, "Ha, we're going to turn this guy from a villain into a goodie." It was like no, the fans decided
Mhm.
like actually we quite like this guy. And then the signs with supporting him started popping up, and now he's kind of a folk hero, which is crazy.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Um, but it's cool, and so it's those kind of stories where people like wrestlers find where their where their sweet spot is, if you like, where they're going to develop into the best version of themselves that they can be. And I think again, PEW is a great sort of training ground and proving ground to do that.
100%, 100%. So you've obviously you've commented on it must be well over 100, maybe 200 matches for PW at this point. I would take an educated guess. Um,
I would guess.
just give us a few, some special moments that really stand out for you that you've commentated on over the years.
Um, I think the recently-ish, when Jason Joshua finally got his, I think, well, technically it was his second title win, right? But the one where he was actually able to keep it, and it didn't
Yeah,
just last 2 minutes. No one cashed in a golden ticket on him.
yeah,
That was a hard-earned moment. And once more, you want to talk about someone. His is different in that he wasn't someone who the fans hated to start with, like maybe you were, or Oscar Prospero. With Jason, it was from the beginning, right? There was this connection.
yeah.
And he's not, but he'll tell you, he's not your conventional, superhero, right? He's not like, he's not your John. Well, when John Cena was a good guy, he's not your John Cena. He's not Mr. America. There's no sort of stereotypes about the kind of character he is to be the top good guy in a wrestling promotion. But he's real, and that people appreciate the authenticity. And I think there was that connection with him. He was there from pretty much day one, I think, right? And there was that connection there from the beginning. I remember in the first year we did PEW, which was 2022. I lose track of years now, but he got the fan voted wrestler of the year, and he was the first one to get it. And it wasn't a surprise because again he'd formed that incredible connection. So to see him finally kind of do the big one was a really cool moment. For me, it was an important moment when we finally put Ryan Taylor in his place, um, which things got more physical from my point of view than I'm used to. but but it had to be done because he was becoming a menace in PEW, and
Really,
thankfully, in the 2 years since, we've only seen him once or twice. So
yeah.
I think he maybe got the message in the end.
Quite the haircut you ended up giving him as well.
It was a classic situation of two people with just such wildly different viewpoints on life and on the wrestling industry. He's this like all about his appearance. He's all about like how many Instagram followers he's got and blah 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 blah. And I'm one of the guys without talking too much about how old I am. I've been around a while now in British wrestling. Obviously, I'm not a wrestler like some of the other guys who are real veterans in PEW, like your Martin Kirby's, those kind of guys. But I do feel. as someone who's been in the industry for a long time, that there's a responsibility to be somewhat of a, to somewhat defend it, right? And I feel like when someone comes into our industry and they're not interested in making it better, they're interested in using the popularity that a wrestling company has built up to get their own, just to boost their followers, just to boost their ego, then you got to step up and you've got to stand up for the industry that you care about. And so I think over time it just got more and more heated between Ryan and me. And as I say, I'm a commentator. I'm not used to being the in the heart of the action at all. I'm used to being the one talking about the action, obviously. And it's not something I have ambitions to do again, particularly. But like we ended up in this situation where the only way that we could finally get him out was if for some reason he was like I don't know if it's because like you say I was sort of the voice of the fans because I get to commentate the shows. I was the one who annoyed him the most, I think, in being critical of him. And so it just got to a point where it was like, right, you get three guys, I'll get well, three wrestlers,
Yeah,
guys and women, but like
yeah.
three on each side. And he wanted my job, right? So he wanted to take me out of P.E.W forever. So I said, okay, well, you know, well, what's the thing that matters most to you? And of course, being Ryan, the thing that matters most to him is something entirely superficial, which is his appearance. So I'm like, you're very fond of your hair. Why don't we put that on the line? And then, yeah, like I say, luckily it went the right way. And hopefully he learned a valuable lesson and became a better human being out of it. Although I have my doubts.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, yeah, like you say, we've not seen him much since, so who knows? We might see him again
But he
one
showed up in
day.
the Rumble, didn't he? He showed up in the Golden Ticket Rumble a few months ago,
Very
which was
true. Very true.
unfortunate.
And a
Yeah.
good a good segue there because I actually wanted to talk to you about what's it like? I know I've joined you on commentary before, but you do a lot of preparation. You do a lot of people don't necessarily see this part of the production, but you have commentary notes. You've researched everybody. You know everybody's names, where they're from, their history, their move sets. What's it like when you're preparing to commentate on a Rumble where you realistically you might not know who's coming through the curtain?
Hard, very difficult. The other thing with a Rumble is that not to bore people with technicalities too much, but you might see like on places like WWE, right? They have a monitor, like a screen on their commentary desk, so they can see exactly what the viewers at home are seeing. That's not a luxury that every independent promotion has, obviously. Where we got a couple of cameras with action going on in three, four different places around the ring, you kind of have to. I don't want to be talking about a thing that the viewers can't see. So I'm kind of going, okay, where are the cameras?
Yeah.
Like that maybe if there's two of them, I'm kind of having a 50-50 guess on like which one of the two is probably what the director has cut to, and then making sure that I'm telling a story that makes sense with the pictures that are going on. But no, yeah, I mean, like the Rumble matches are just about the most unpredictable matches of all. You can often try and kind of foresee what's going to happen because I'm in the locker room before the show. So I'm like, okay, there's 10 guys I don't know or recognize, but they're putting tights on. They must be wrestlers. So you go find out who they are. I'm like, are you in the Rumble? So, you kind of do get a sense, but then, yeah, occasionally you just don't know. And so you rely on producer in your ear or someone to tell you, oh yeah, this is so and so. Because it's even if you feel like you've got a good knowledge of the British wrestling scene, and I hope I do, but you can't possibly know everyone, and you never quite know who's going to show up in any PEW show, but especially in like the Golden Ticket Rumble. So it's yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, and I completely have sympathy for you in those settings. Um, uh, Referring to so normally at PEW you're supported by a second commentator or sometimes a third commentator. Talk to us about the different dynamics that you experience when you have somebody to accompany you in commentary.
Yeah, I mean it depends who it is. I mean, most regularly now I have Dan Layton with me, who is I think he's never commentated before, but I think he's a talented color commentator. Certainly, he's performed before. His background's in musical theatre, and he's a YouTuber and all that kind of stuff. But he's a good color commentator. He has an ego, clearly. I mean, anyone who insists on you calling them the professor is has something going on psyche wise that maybe needs exploring on a professional level. But he's got opinions, and that's what you want, right? You know that the last thing you want is a color commentator who's going to be a total wallflower and doesn't want to say anything. Like I think viewers, I've been told viewers find it entertaining if we end up bickering like an old couple.
Yeah.
So I guess long may it continue because I do quite often disagree with him.
Yeah, and it definitely adds that extra layer, and you can bounce off of each other. It adds such a dimension to how PEW fans can view the product. Which brings me into a nice segue. I'll just kind of gonna do a quick plug of our social medias now.
There's been some excellent segues here,
There
can I
has,
say?
and once again we're flowing.
Very impressed.
It's
Yeah,
very
love
good.
it. Love it.
So we can follow you, Dave, on Instagram, I believe at Dave Bradshaw 83. Is that correct?
Yeah, which I regret having as my username because it reveals my age. I'm Dave. I'm just at Dave Bradshaw on Twitter or
Yeah,
X.
yeah.
But by the time I got on Insta, someone else had taken that, so I had to put my
Ah,
year of birth at the end, unfortunately.
very good. No, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And you can follow Phenomenal Elite Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram at Phenomenal Elite Wrestling. Follow us on Twitter at PEW_wrestling. And why not check out our YouTube channel where you can watch every single PEW show, every match. Dave Bradshaw will feature in majority of those. So if you're enjoying Dave's voice, check out the YouTube channel. You can also
And if you're not enjoying my voice, you can still watch it anyway because you could just turn the volume down and put something else on, but still watch it.
exactly. You can
Yeah.
you can check out previous episodes of our PW podcast where I've spoken to Lance Rivera and also Jason Joshua. So you
Oh,
can check those out.
those are two very different people. How was it with Lance?
Oh, very entertaining. He's very much he did a lot of talking, which was exactly what I needed.
How long did you have to talk to him for?
I think we went for 6 hours. I think it was
Yeah, I probably felt
yeah.
like that.
And then I pressed record, and I think we went for another 10. I think that's fair.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I hope they paid you extra for that.
Ah, fingers crossed. So you can also
Did he tell you why Man United are so terrible this season?
well that was one of the topics. That
I
was.
see. Yeah, good.
Yeah, you can also check us out on Patreon, where you can unlock different tiers and gain all sorts of benefits, including discounted tickets. So check us out on Patreon. Now, we are going to be returning for PEW Bangers on Saturday, the 19th of April in Ettington. Will you be joining us for that one, Dave?
I will be. It's the biggest event in the wrestling world that day.
Yeah, PEW,
100%.
PEW
Yeah.
Bangers.
Who wants to be in Las Vegas? You can be in Ettington with us. It's gonna be great.
Exactly. We'll also be debuting, not announced as a date or official poster yet, but we will be doing a special mixed tag team tournament show, which will be coming up. Eight teams will be competing in a tournament, a knockout tournament, which will be very exciting. I'm
Single night, right? All in one night.
yeah, absolutely. So keep following the social media pages of Phenomenal Elite Wrestling for more
Is that an
updates.
exclusive? Did you just give us a scoop?
Ah, well, you never know what you're gonna get with me. Sometimes I maybe
So that is an exclusive, right? No one's said that yet.
no, I think we've just put a little
Oh, we announced it.
Yeah, a little bit of a sneak there. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you'd like done some great investigative journalism.
Nah, maybe I might accidentally say stuff that I'm not supposed to. We'll see,
Wow.
though, won't we?
Could edit that
Yeah.
out. Edit
Ah,
that
it'd be
out.
all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
get it in post. Um, so let's move on then, and let's talk about what are your thoughts on the Prestige? Because we mentioned the Prestige earlier. The Prestige gets a lot of bad rep, of course, for his terrible personality, and he likes to make the show about himself that we've seen recently. Although he did get a little bit of comeuppance in a St. Patrick's Day street fight
Yeah.
recently.
A little bit. Yeah.
But what has the Prestige brought for P.E.W? Of course, he's brought us P.E.W. We cannot forget that. What are your thoughts?
He has, and I've already said what I think is good about him, and I don't intend on saying anything else good. He is a nightmare, isn't he?
Mhm.
Like as bosses go, one of those like bosses from hell documentary series should cover him. I mean, he like he just has this. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. Like there's been times in PEW history when he's a nice guy, seems like he's got a sensible head on his shoulders, and as I say, some of the talent he's booking is great. And some of the some of the matchmaking's been really good. But then he's just got this like psychotic need to be to be in the spotlight. I mean, calling himself the Prestige for one thing, that tells you a lot, doesn't it? And he just this this sense that he has to be the puppet master all the time, pulling the strings, and that he didn't think that Jason Joshua should be the PEW champion. You know, the idea that oh, I'm the Prestige and I know better than the entire population of PEW fans about what's good for them. I mean, it's so arrogant. It's so obnoxious. And for Jason to be able to get the revenge he got on him, sadly I wasn't there. I would have loved it. I would have loved the chance to call that. And I thought it was so fitting that Jason didn't pin him when he could have. He made him tap out, put him through a table, and gave him the humiliation he deserved in front of all those PEW fans who he'd been insulting. You know, by insulting Jason Joshua, who is the fans' pick
Yeah,
and has been for so much of PEW history. You're insulting by proxy. You're insulting the PEW fans, and they're the ones. It's the PEW fan. They're the ones who made PEW, not the Prestige.
yeah.
And so he got what he deserved. And again, we're talking about with Ryan Taylor with the Prestige. I hope he learned his lesson. But given what we've seen him be like in the past, I don't know. I don't know. What version of the Prestige do we get next time he shows his face in public? Like, will he show his face at Bangers on the 19th? I don't know. But at some point or other, he's still the owner of the company, right? So he's gonna have to he's gonna have to show up at some point, and we'll see if it's made him any more humble. Because I mean, something has to.
We will, yeah, and an interesting. We don't know what this relationship is with Kiara and the Prestige as well. It would be interesting to see what happens there. Quite
Yeah.
interesting that.
He's
Um,
always got. That's the thing as well. He's always got something up his sleeve.
yeah, he never reveals his hand in full. There's our Prestige.
Yeah.
So let's move on to a more positive topic. Um, let's ask you, Dave. We've got some championships in PEW. We have our world championship. We have our internet championship. We have our tag team championship. We have our women's championship. Is there anybody in, let's say, the next year or two that you would love to see win that championship and have that reign with a title around their waist? Is there anybody that stands out for you?
Um, Someone I'd like to see win the big one, which is the world title, is Adam Bolt. Certainly, I think that would be long overdue. I mean, Adam's one of very few who could probably challenge Jason Joshua, right, for popularity when it
Hmm.
comes to the PEW fans. I'd love for Smashing Mike to win it in the last man standing match he's having with Jack Selstrom at Bangers, but that's a tough ask because Selstrom and Connors and Riley Nova, they're becoming a real dominant
Yeah.
force in P.E.W. So I know everyone will be fully behind Mike, and you can't meet a more bubbly, exciting human being than
Oh,
Smashing Mike. So that
absolutely.
would be great. But yeah, if Mike can't do it, and I hope he can, then Adam Bolt would be great. I mean, if you're talking about people I expect might do something over the next year, not necessarily want to, but when you're looking at dominant groups in PW, like we were just talking about, another one is that's in the past year or so is the cause, right?
Mhm.
And H Hood has been can like him or not, and we
Yeah.
can all have strong opinions on whether the cause is actually doing any good to the younger wrestlers
Yeah.
who've been talked into being a part of that group, or whether it's just about furthering H. Hood's career. But Hood is he has a level of aggression and ruthlessness
Yeah.
that I've rarely seen, and I think that as unpleasant as that can be when it manifests, I think it might be the thing that gives him an edge over almost everyone. I know he was our first ever internet champion, but you could see H Hood, and he does have that charisma to draw people in, rightly or wrongly,
Yeah.
and to make them want to work for him and do that kind of thing. Like you could see a path for him to becoming world champion. Again, not sure why I know I am sure what I think of him as a human being, and it's not very positive. But like, so I'm not saying that's something I want, but it's something that I think you could picture happening.
Mm, most definitely. I've been on the wrong end of the cause beatdowns more times
You
than
have. You
I
have.
can remember, to be honest. And yeah, they certainly. I think they go under the radar a little bit, but they certainly are like yeah, you need to watch out for them. I think over the next
Mhm.
year or two. I think all of them. I think 40 is on the up. Um, I think Elano Stone and Ryden are just really coming into their own. Not that I agree with the tactics, and I don't agree with
Yeah. I mean, it is a bit of a case of at what cost. You know what I mean? Ryden used to be such a nice young man. And then you look at what he's become since he's become associated with H. Just a nasty bully now.
Mm,
But it's not about making friends, I guess. And like I say, H Hood has that cutting edge that puts him above a large number of other wrestlers. And if he's teaching that to the Rydens and the Alano
yeah.
Stones and the Fordies of the world, then maybe that's going to work for them. I hate to say it, but it might.
Mm, absolutely. Um, so. We spoke about growth of younger talent that's come through PWs. Is there anybody who you foresee could grow into into a big staple household name in PW over the next couple of years?
Um, I mean, some of the guys we've talked about in the cause, I think, are names to keep an eye on. I'm fascinated by Has Hype.
Mm.
I think
Yeah,
he is another one who has some insecurities clearly because I fundamentally do not believe the follower numbers that he's claiming to have on social media. Um, and this obsession with being in front of a camera all the time is quite toxic, I think. But no doubt incredibly talented and he could go a long way as well.
yeah,
I think that's the thing with PEW though, is there's so many talents who have come through from nowhere. Like take Violet Knight, for example,
yeah,
winning the Fallen Angel tournament. Like I didn't see that coming. And quite often in the 3 or 4 years we've been going, there's been times where someone's just broken through suddenly and you're like, oh, they weren't even on my radar. And then suddenly they do something incredible and
yeah.
they're right in the crux of the conversation going forward. So the exciting part to it, I guess, yeah, is that I can't really answer that question because it's whatever I say will be wrong, because it's always a surprise, and that's one of the cool things about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You truly don't know who's going to break through in it could be a couple of shows time, it could be 6 shows time. With the amount of new faces that are brought in for P.E.W shows, such an exciting time to be a fan, I'm sure, because you're seeing so many new faces, so many new characters.
Hmm. All the time. And again, it's that conveyor belt of being willing to take a chance on new talent. Some will come and go, some will make an impression, some won't, but the ones who do, they can go from being newcomers to being a world champion, and it can happen in a surprisingly short amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we haven't got much time left because I mentioned before in the previous episode, the vegan Prescott is incredibly tight with money, and he only has a basic Zoom account. So we are on a time limit. We have about 5 minutes left, so
No expense spared, eh?
absolutely no expenses spared here. Um, so let's talk about let's do some quick fire questions. Do you have a favorite match that you've called in PW? And I know that's a difficult question because there's been so many great ones, but is there any, maybe a couple or three that stand out to you?
Um, there was I can't, I'm struggling to remember what show it was, but there was Jack Torino and Taylor James against Riley Nova and Brady Phillips. One of
Mm,
the early tag team
yeah.
title matches we had was an exceptional match. Um, some of the fun. I don't think I was there for your vegan street fight, sadly, but there was some
Oh,
of the matches we've had like that, like the trick or treat, like Halloween
yeah.
brawls we've had where there's been pumpkins involved and all that kind of stuff. Just something that, again, it's just fun. Like, and it's just PW is a great place to be trying out fun things. And so, yeah, that's what I like.
Yeah, absolutely. You would have absolutely adored me getting slammed onto a mixture of lentils and
Oh,
peas.
beautiful. I'll tell you another one. Martin Kirby and Sticks.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
so good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
I'll throw in a Wesleyan Serico in there as well. Against
Yeah.
Kirby. A very very enjoyable match for me that.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And have you got any dream matches for PW that you maybe have not commentated on yourself or you've not seen yet? Is there anything that you would like to see?
Um, like, I was making fun of him, but Lance Rivera is annoyingly good.
Oh yes.
And we just had recently that series of matches between him and Harrison Bennett, who I rate very highly. I think Harrison Bennett's one of the real great talents in the UK right now. So to see Rivera get it put into positions against some real top talent has been really fun, and I'd like to see it again. So maybe like Lance Rivera against another really great talent who's been making a name for themselves elsewhere. There's so many you could choose from, but to just test him and to see if someone can shut him up
Yeah.
would be great. So yeah, some more high caliber people to challenge Lance would be good.
Yeah, and he really has become almost like PW's measuring stick in a way, where
Hmm.
he he's gone from being the longest reigning world champion in PW history to trying to win that back, not succeeding, but also kind of getting this role of being the guy to beat, still the guy to beat, even though he's not a champion anymore.
Yeah, and now Ivy's gone from the women's division. I think I was like Holly to see Holly Hudson back recently was great, and I think she fulfills that role maybe on the women's side of
Yeah.
things as well because she's been there since the beginning. So Holly Hudson as a measuring stick, if we could bring in some high level talent to face Harley, that would be amazing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, keep an eye out for the maybe we'll see some hidden gems in our mixed tag tournament coming up.
We might,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Maybe the vegan Prescott might make an appearance as well. It's been a
Are
while.
you planning one? Have you got a partner?
I have to have friends for that, Dave. I'm going to try my best.
I see. Try and make some
Yeah,
friends.
that's
Yeah.
that's the real issue there.
It's good life advice in general.
Yeah. Make friends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make
absolutely.
friends. Yeah.
Absolutely. And where let's it sounds like a job interview question this one, but we've got time for it. Where do you see PEW being in, let's say, 5 years' time?
Um, I I just hope it's doing, I hope it doesn't, I don't think it will, but I hope it doesn't lose its soul. Like, and by which I mean, some companies are so obsessed with growth that it's important to them to, if we were in a building that holds 200 last year, we need to be in one that holds 400 this year and 800 next year. And I think what's more important for PEW is what we talked about at the start, which is that sense of community, that feeling that when you go to PEW, it's a special place where you get to see people, you get to have those interactions with wrestlers in the meet and greets and all those sorts of
Yeah.
things that you don't necessarily get elsewhere. So I think I'm all for growth. I'm all for PW being as successful as possible, but it's got to keep that feeling of intimacy and that feeling of community because that's what makes it special.
Well said there, Dave. Well said. And I think that about wraps us up for this episode of the PW podcast. Make sure you get your tickets for PW Bangers, the biggest show on that day. 100%. You will not be missing out if you could come down to Ettington. PW Bangers Saturday, the 19th of April. Dave Bradshaw will be there, so why not
I
say
will.
hello?
Yeah, come say hi.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Dave. It's been a real pleasure talking. We'd love to have you
Always,
back again. I'm
always a
sure there's
pleasure.
I'm sure there's at least 4 or 5 episodes worth of content here.
Yeah, I'm only
100%.
coming back if to be honest, I was told Porkers would be here.
Ah,
Otherwise I might not have agreed.
I will make sure he's out of bed next time. 100.
Okay, good. We'll, we'll,
Just
we'll do it in the daytime, so it's in his
that's right. Just for you. Just for
it's in his
you.
routine. Yeah, nice.
100%. But yes, I will close out that and thank you so much for listening. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on social media, make sure you follow Dave as well. I've been the Vegan Prescott, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.